Eight. Oh, hey guys, we're just finishing up our board game. So, this is my friend, Steak the Pineapple, and we also have Alfonso with us again today.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just gonna finish up this game really quick, and we'll start our steam train. I got an 8. So close. It's your turn, Steak.
Mr. Dorian,
Yes.
I don't have hands. Can you please roll the dice for me?
I guess, yeah. 7. He won.
Hee
We're gonna go ahead and pack this up, but I think this is gonna go really well into what we're learning about today. It's something super fun, and I'm sure you guys have all played at least one before, and it's about board games. We're actually gonna make our own board games. We're gonna do all sorts of awesome stuff. If this is your first time tuning in, I am Mr. Dorian with New Minds, and I hope you guys are ready for the steam train. Let me go ahead and put this board game away. I always want to make sure to clean up when I am done. So board games are super cool. Some of them have been around for hundreds of years. Some of them came out last week. But the cool thing is that board games can be played by everyone, and no matter what you have, you can find some sort of game to play with it. The super awesome thing is that board games, you can make them yourself. You can make up your own rules, you can make up awesome parts of it, and it'll be a really fun experiment. So let's see what's in our magic box today, all the supplies we're going to need, and we'll go from there. It looks like I have some rulers, like always. A big one and a small one. I have some scrap cardboard. Might use that. I have something to color with. I have my trusty crowns. I have some dice of all different sizes. I have a pair of scissors. I've got something to write with. It looks like I've got some chess pieces. Interesting. I've got some rubber ducks. I've got some dice I've never seen before. They kind of have some weird markings on them. And it looks like I have one of every coin. I have a penny, a nickel, a dime, and a quarter. Thank you, Magic Box. I'm sure we can do something with this. And I think board games is going to be something awesome. Oh, I have a big piece of cardboard. I didn't see it under here. Also a big piece of cardboard. So I think the cool thing about board games is that no matter what you have, there's always a board game you can play. Every single board game comes with different pieces, different materials, something different to play the game, and they're all really fun. Maybe your board game just has cards you pick, like Candyland. It tells you to go from one color to the next color. Maybe your game has a dice you can roll, and it tells you the number you need. Maybe your game has something unique altogether, or maybe your game is about being fast and launching things. But the cool thing is that people made these games. Like, I think this would be a fun thing to do. I'm going to make this so everyone can see it. So I think we can do the same thing, and we can make our own board game. Now, the first thing we need is we need pieces. We need something to tell where the players are and where they can mark themselves. Maybe you use 2 small toys, like these rubber ducks. Maybe use something simple, like coins. One player can be a penny, one player can be a dime, one can be a nickel, one can be a quarter. Maybe you reuse pieces from an old board game. Make sure you put them back after you're done. Board games aren't as fun if you lose pieces. But let's say I have these chess pieces. I have a pawn, a knight, a bishop, and the king. And maybe I want to use these as my board game pieces. Maybe you make something, like a token. One cool way is you could take a small piece of cardboard and cut it into a square. And then you can draw your character on this. So I'm going to draw our friend the pineapple. He's got a little flower. And maybe I make him into a game piece. I can use this as my game piece. It's made of cardboard, so it's sturdy, and I can keep reusing it. And this would be a super fun way to play the game. Maybe I make one for everybody. Maybe I make one that looks like me, and I make one for the rest of my family. We can all have our own game pieces with their face on it. And the cool thing is, if you're playing something like Monopoly, you instead of using the normal pieces like the thimble, the wheelbarrow, and the race car, you can make your own pieces to put into that game. So if you don't know how to make a whole board game, or that seems a little bit challenging, I'm sure you could do it. You just got to keep trying. But a good way to start and practice is just making board game pieces. Maybe your game has lost a piece and you make a replacement, or you just make new ones. That's more fun to play the game for you. Another thing is that we don't just need tokens, we need a way to move the tokens. Maybe your game is flipping a coin. One side is red, one side is green. Or one side's the number 1, and one side's the number 2. When you flip it, you move, or maybe when you roll a dice, you move. The cool thing about dice is they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes and patterns and numbers. I have these. These are the kind of dice you would use for a game like Dungeons and Dragons if you play with Mr. Adam. You probably have some of these. But the cool thing is that they have different amounts of sides. This one is a 4-sided dice. It's a triangle pyramid. This one is a 6-sided dice. It's a cube. This one is an 8-sided dice. It's almost like a 3D rhombus. This one is a 12-sided dice. Actually, no, this is a 10-sided dice. This one's a 12-sided dice. This is a dodecahedron. This one is a 20-sided dice. And it's all made out of triangles. The cool thing is that these will give you different numbers. This one will give me from 1 to 4. This one will give me from 1 to 6. This one will give me from 1 to 8. And you might want to use a different one depending on how many places you have in your game. If you have a really short board game path, you might only want to use a 4-sided dice. If you have a really long board game path with like 100 squares to go across, I would use a 20-sided dice. That would work really well. The cool thing is you can keep practicing and trying your game and see what works better and what works. I'm going to go ahead and put these away. Make sure when I'm using supplies, I put them away when I'm done. And of course, the last thing you need for your board game is a board to play on. The one I had earlier was a race game, so it had like a big race track around it, and it had different rings. And all the rings had different colors, so if you land on a black square, you blow out your tires. If you ran on a gray square, then you run out of oil. And if you run on a white square, you start running out of gas. So all these cool things are part of the board. All of these 3 things make up a game. You can have different pieces, you can have different dice or ways to move, and you can have a different board. But think about the theme of your game. What's your game about? I haven't decided what I want to make my board game about yet, but maybe I could do something with these weird dice I found. I don't actually know what these are. I found them in my house and they look pretty cool. It's a dice that looks like it has cards on it. So this one would look like it's an ace, it's got 1 icon. This one would look like it's a jack, it's green, and it's got a little face on it. These might be a little hard to see, I'll get a little closer. This one is a queen. It's got a queen on it. This one is a king. And it's also got a 9 and a 10. I don't know what game these are for. Maybe if you do know, leave a comment below, because I've had these forever and I've never known what they go to. But the cool thing is that I could use these for a game. I know that these are cards, so maybe I make a game where you have to draw cards and roll the dice, and if you get the same one, you get to move forward. That'd be a really hard game, but it'd be cool to try. The cool thing is that you don't have to make your game a certain way. Something else is that we need something to make a board on. You can do this on construction paper. You can do this on normal paper. I actually have mine just a big piece of cardboard so I can keep reusing my game. Good morning. And the awesome thing is that this can be whatever shape or size I want because I can draw the pieces. I think I want to make mine have like a spiral so it keeps going in and going in and going in and getting smaller. So I'm going to start drawing my board. I'm just going to draw squares. I think I want to use coins for my game pieces because I think I want them to get to a treasure. So I think being coins would be a cool piece. So I'm going to make the squares big enough that my coins can fit in them. If you want to make your line straight, this is where your rulers will come in. Maybe you have something like you're going through a store or a building, you want to make like a grid to go on. You can use rulers to make it a perfect grid, but I don't want mine. I want mine to be kind of swirly. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to draw the outside line. I'm going to draw it like a spiral, getting closer. Kind of like this. And I left a lot of space because I need to make the other side, and it needs to go along it like railroad tracks. So I'm going to draw the second half of my board. The cool thing about doing it on paper or something that's not printed is you can make a double-sided game board, so you can have two games in one. So now I have my spiral for a board game. All I need to do to make squares is just draw lines like a train track, so I have all the squares I want. I want to have about 30 squares. I think that's a good number for me to have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I want to make sure these are all big enough that I can fit a coin in it. So that way I know where people are in the game. Looks like they can fit my biggest coin, so I'm all set. What was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm a third of the way there. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm halfway there. And it looks like I'm about halfway through my spiral, so I think we're doing good. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And it looks like I have some extra space, so I think I'm going to have like 34 spaces. 31, 32, 33, 34. Now I need to mark where I start my game and where I end it. I want people to start on the outside and go into the middle. So I'm going to draw a start. Start and end. So now I know you start down here and you end all the way up in the middle. And my game is about a treasure hunt, so I think I want to decorate my spaces so it looks like something cool I can go around. I'm going to draw maybe some caves, maybe we go through a forest over here, and at the end I'm going to draw the treasure. So I'm going to draw my trees. I'm not great at drawing trees, but I'm going to do my best. If you're ever not perfect at drawing something, my secret trick is just label it. I'm going to write tree next to one of the trees. My trees aren't great, but I wrote tree next to it, so people are like, oh yeah, those are trees. There we go. I'm going to keep drawing the trees. And I think once you get through the jungle, and you get through all the trees, you're going to get to a cave. So this next part I'm going to draw as a cave. So I'm going to draw some rocks. I'm going to draw like a little mine cart. I'm going to label it the cave. And I'll label the first part the forest. It's almost kind of like in Candyland when you go through all the different places and you see all the amazing, like you go through the gumdrop forest and the licorice woods, and the peppermint. I think it's the peppermint woods actually. I haven't played Candyland in a really long time. But now I have the forest, I have the cave up here. I think I want to put a waterfall that you have to go through, and then when you go through the waterfall, you get to the treasure. I'm going to draw a big pretty waterfall. Actually, I think it turned into more of a river, so I'm going to make it a river. That's okay. Things don't always have to end up the first way you planned them. Maybe it ends up a completely different way, but now I have a river going through my board, and it's starting to look more like a treasure hunt. And last, I want to draw the treasure in the middle of my spiral here. Draw a little keyhole so it looks like a classic treasure. Draw some lines so it looks shiny. Draw some coins on the ground. And there we go. It looks like I have an awesome and amazing game board. But if I just roll the dice and go, it's not a very unique game. and it doesn't do anything different. So I think I want to have some hazards or things on the board that are going to send me backwards and slow me down. So I think I want to make a picture on the board so I know where everything starts. So one of these spaces is going to have a tree on it, so I know that's the start of the trees. I'm going to draw a minecart on one of these spaces so I know this is the start of the cave. I'm going to draw some water on the river square so people know it's the start of the river. And I think that's all the spots I want to have. So now I have markers. These don't do anything yet, but I want to have squares that say go back, and then you're going to have to go back to your icon. So I think I'm going to put one in the woods. Maybe you hit a tree and you got sent back out of the woods, or like you got chased away by monkeys. So I'm going to write go back in the woods. I'm going to put one in the mine. I'm going to put one on the river. And I think that's all the go back squares I'm going to have. Maybe if I want to be really tricky, at the very end I could put one that says go back to the start. Maybe you turned around and didn't think you found the treasure, so you have to start over. So I'm going to add those in now. Your board game doesn't have to be like mine. Maybe yours is an adventure that's not in the jungle. Maybe yours is in the Arctic. Maybe yours isn't an adventure at all. Maybe it's people trying to put away their laundry before their mom comes home. And that's what your game is about. You have to collect all the different laundry pieces. It's all up to you. And that's the fun part, is you get to use your creativity and imagination and make your own game. Think about some of your favorite games. What things of them do you like? What things do you not like? You can change them and make it your own game. If you like games about telling stories, feel free to check in the Dungeonverse. They have some awesome stories that they're telling, and it works like a board game that you get to add yourself into. And if you're missing any of these lessons, feel free to check out newminds.tv. We also have an awesome one about probability that's really going to help you in making your own dice and being able to use it. But now I think my board game is finished, except I need to add color. So of course the fun part is now we get to test it. I think I want to use a 6-sided dice, so even if you get perfect rolls the whole way, it still takes you 5 turns to get there. Because 6 times 5 is 30, so actually it'll take you 6 rolls. And I'm going to play with my duck friend here. He's going to be the other player. And I think we're going to start. I'm going to be the dime, and he's going to be the penny. And I'm just going to play 3 turns and see if I get pretty far in this game. So I'm going to go first. I got a 1. I didn't go anywhere. Now he's going to go. Ooh, he got a 3. 1, 2, 3. It's my turn. 1, 2. Now it's his turn. 1, 2, 3. He's already in the forest. Now it's my turn. 3 again. 1, 2, 3. And it looks like we tied at the end of 3 turns, but we didn't get very far. I actually just ended up inside the woods. So I think I want to add some good bonuses. There's hazards that send you back, but I want something that will send me forward. So maybe I can skip the woods and go all the way to the cave, or skip the cave and go all the way to the river. Maybe I skip the river and I have an extra space I can get to. That's the start of the treasure. I think I'm going to add that in. I'm going to add go forward spaces. So instead of going back somewhere, you go forward. So I'm going to draw another treasure so I know when people go forward, they go forward to this and don't go all the way to the end. And I think I'm going to put the first go forward right next to the go back square. I think I'm going to put the next one right in the middle of the mine. I'm going to put the next one right at the start of the river. That's a really big jump. And now I have a game. It's got locations. It's decorated. I have a board I can use. I know I'm going to use a regular dice. I have some game tokens. Maybe I made my own. I would color this all if you were doing this at home. Make sure you have it nice. And you also have a backside to whatever you use. So you can make 2 different games. Maybe one is the adventure to the treasure. Maybe one's the adventure escaping the treasure. I have hazards and boosts that make me go forward and backwards. And I think this would be a really fun game to play. It sounds like a race to the end. Everybody would go different speeds. Sometimes you get a big jump and get a big lead, and then you'd slow down and go back. I think this would be really fun to play, and I'm excited to play this with my friends. So whenever they get back, maybe play it with my family or the people who are in my home. I think this would be a super awesome game. Thank you guys for tuning in with Real Inspired Learning with New Minds. I want to see your projects. Show me your games when you finish them. Send us a picture and let us see it. I want to see all the awesome projects that come from this because I'm excited to see how your creativity works. Keep practicing your passions, if it's game making or anything else, until it becomes your talent, until you become really good at it. Thank you guys for watching.